Okay, we are going to start with our first example of rounding to the nearest tens place. Our first example is the number 59. We need to first figure out what number is in the tens place, and that number is the 5. The 9 is in the ones place, the 5 is in the tens place. We're going to underline the number 5 as this is going to be our starting point. Then we are going to start with our saying that we saw on a previous slide. If you're rounding, look next door. 5 or greater, add one more. So we're going to look next door at the number 9. That is 5 or greater. So our number 5 is now going to turn to a 6. And as you can see, I have the number 6 written underneath of it. Numbers in front stay the same. There are no numbers there, so we do not have to add any. Numbers behind, 0 is your name. So our 9 now becomes a 0. And 59 rounded to the nearest 10 is 60. Okay, moving on. We are now going to do examples of rounding to the nearest hundreds. Our first example is the number 214. Like in rounding to the nearest tens, we need to find what number is in the hundreds place. The number that is in the hundreds place will be our 2. So we need to underline the number 2, and that is going to be our starting point. Then we are going to start our saying. If you're rounding, look next door. 5 or greater, add one more. The number next door is the number 1. It is not 5 or greater, so our 2 is going to stay the same. And as you can see, I wrote the number 2 underneath. Numbers in front stay the same. There are no numbers in front, so you do not have to add any. Numbers behind, 0 is your name. So you can see that the 1 and the 4 now become zeros. And we now know that 214 rounded to the nearest 100 is 200. Moving on. Our next example is the number 123. Once again, our hundreds place is the 1, so we're going to underline it. Then we're going to do our saying once again. If you're rounding, look next door. 5 or greater, add one more. The number 2 is not 5 or greater, so the 1 stays the same. Then we continue. Numbers in front stay the same. There are no numbers in front of the 1, so we do not have to add anything. Numbers behind, 0 is your name. So that means the 2 and the 3 will both become zeros. And the number 123, rounded to the nearest 100, is 100. And our final example, 153. The number 1 is in the hundreds place, so we are going to underline it, and that's going to be our starting point. If you're rounding, look next door. 5 or greater, add one more. This one is a little different because 5 is 5 or greater. So that means our 1 then becomes a 2. Numbers in front stay the same. There are no numbers again, so you don't have to add anything. Numbers behind, 0 is your name. So that means that the 5 and the 3 both become zeros. We now know that 153 rounded to the nearest 100 is 200. Now it is your turn. First, I need everyone to open up a Google Docs. On your own, you're going to create a 2-digit number and a 3-digit number. These numbers will be rounded to the nearest 10. Then, on your own, you're going to create 2 3-digit numbers. These numbers will be rounded to the nearest 100. Then, when you are done, you're going to send this to your table partner. Then, you're going to open up the document in DocHub and use the tools to show your work. When we are finished, we will Chromecast to discuss what we need to work on and what went well.